So we're doing a special shiur now on Yom Kippur, which is coming up, believe it or not, it's coming right up to us tomorrow night. Hard to believe how quickly El goes by, Rosh Hashanah, S.S.S, and here we are, we're coming to tomorrow, and tomorrow night is Yom Kippur. So we decided that we're going to do the shiur a little earlier in the day today, so we can get it up and get it out there sometime today, as opposed to doing it tonight. Erev Yom Kippur, everybody's very busy, and once Yom Kippur passes, everybody who wants to listen or watch a shiur about Yom Kippur, once Yom Kippur passes, we get into the Sukkot spirit, right? So we're recording it early, and we're actually doing something very special. That I'm actually recording the shiur on my own over here. So we're doing it without a crowd. The Nesivos Shalom has a beautiful lesson for us to learn about tshuva. And it's learned from a pasuk that we read in last week's parsha, in Parshas Hazinu, the beginning of the parsha. The pasuk says, the beginning of the Sedra, Hazinu hashamayim v'adabera v'sishma ha'aretz imrei fi. And there's two parts there. There's Hazinu hashamayim, and then v'sishma ha'aretz. And it seems from the pasuk that Hazinu hashamayim v'sishma ha'aretz, that the v'sishma ha'aretz follows. Once you have the Hazinu hashamayim, that you have, naturally what follows that, you have the Sishma ha'aretz. And the Mefarshim speak many different ideas, different pshat in this pasuk. However, we're going to go with something very special that the Nesivos Shalom says, and this Nesivos Shalom about Yom Kippur we're using is actually coming from Parshas Hazinu. It's brought down in the Sefer in Parshas Hazinu. We know, everybody knows that this week, S.S.S, that a person has to do tshuva. And we need to do tshuva. And what do we need to do tshuva for? The first thing we think of is that a person needs to do tshuva for his averos, and for the averos that a person has done. But the Nesivos Shalom says something a little further than that. There's another type of tshuva that a person has to do. And you know what that is? That's tshuva for the mitzvahs that were not performed optimally. For mitzvahs that were not performed as they should have been, that is another type of tshuva that a person has to do. You know, we said in the tefillah on Rosh Hashanah, we're going to say it in Mirz Hashem, on Yom Kippur also, in Musaf, the tefillah of Nesanet Toikev, we say, U'malachim yechafezun, v'chil u'ra'odo yechezun, v'yoymeru hinei yoim hadin. That there is a fear and a fright in the malachim. And the malachim are feeling this tremendous, tremendous fear and this tremendous fright. And malachim say, v'yoymeru hinei yoim hadin. Question. What exactly do malachim have to fear? What are malachim so afraid? What are they afraid of? Malachim do not have a yetzer hara that is convincing them to do averos. So when it comes to Rosh Hashanah, when it comes to the Yemei Adin, what are the malachim afraid of? Good kasha, no? So the Nesivos Shalom brings from Reb Pinchas Mikoretz, Zechus HaYogen Aleinu, and he says a really eye-opening, very enlightening pshat. He says like this, that the malachim referred to in the tefillah are not malachim like Malach Gavriel and Malach Michael. Those malachim certainly have no fears on the Yom Hadin. They have nothing to fear. Because malachim, they don't have a yetzer hara. They're not susceptible to doing things wrong as human beings are. Those malachim taka, you ask you a good question on malachim yechafezun. They have nothing to be afraid of. Those are not the malachim who are afraid. Who are we referring to, says in Nesivos Shalom? He says we are referring to these malachim, the malachim that are created when we do mitzvahs. And we know that each mitzvah that we do creates a malach. However, when a mitzvah is not done correctly, the malach that's created is a malach that has a pagam. It's a malach that, so to speak, is handicapped in some way. And you know what? He says there are malachim that are created by people when we do mitzvahs and we don't do them exactly the way that we should. There are malachim that are missing arms, and they're missing legs, and there are those who could be lame, and those who could be deaf. There's a deficiency, there's something wrong, however we understand that, but there is something wrong with this malach. And you know what happens? When a yid does tshuva, you have the ability to rehabilitate and heal this malach that you created. And you have the power and you have the capability to make this malach whole again. So when we say in the tefillah, umalachim yechafezun, when we say v'chil ura'ada yechezun, that there's a fright, that there is the malachim are afraid. What do we mean that the malachim are afraid? Malachim are afraid of what's going to happen on the Yom Adin. Will they become whole again? Will the person do tshuva or not? And there's a lot on the line. The malachim want to be whole. They need to be whole. They want to serve Hashem in the most optimal way. And so that's what they're afraid of. They want to know, is the person that created through his mitzvahs that was incomplete, is this person going to do tshuva and make me whole once again? We're all familiar with the pasuk and the saying from Koheles Perek Zayin. The pasuk says in Koheles, Ki Adam ein tzadik ba'aretz asher yaseh toiv v'lo yechta. That there isn't a person in the world asher yaseh toiv that does good v'lo yechta, and he doesn't have any averos. So normally, when we translate this pasuk, normally when we speak about this pasuk, we use it in a way, let's be honest, we use it in a way to convince ourselves of what? We use it to convince ourselves, you know what? No one's perfect. No one's perfect. There are no people around who are perfect. Listen, everybody does something wrong. Everybody has committed some transgression. And we need to convince ourselves, it's something we need to convince ourselves at times, that nobody's perfect. But Nesivos Shalom says a bit of a different pshat over here. He says, you know what? Of course there have to be people that are, I don't want to say perfect, but they haven't done anything wrong. Why would we say that? Why do we have to say that there's no person in the world that hasn't done that? And there are people that are really, really good and they don't do anything wrong. We may not know those people. I don't know them. And maybe most of the people out there who are watching this year, you may not know such people, but there are such people out there, tzaddikim, that don't do anything wrong. What does Asher Yaseh Toiv mean in the pasuk says in the Nesivos Shalom? It could be referring to the doing of good itself. That in the Toiv itself, when you're actually Mekayim a mitzvah, Ki Adam, there is no person out there, Asher Yaseh Toiv, that when he does good, V'lo Yechta, that when he does mitzvahs, that there are no people out there who do every single mitzvah, and they're Mekayim every mitzvah perfectly. Did you put on your tefillin with all the exact right kavanas today? Did you do whatever Maisa Tzedakah, whatever Maisa Chesed, was everything done perfectly? Did you put on your tzitzis, your talis? Did you do every mitzvah? Did you make your brachas? Did you do everything perfectly, the mitzvah? The answer to that, more often than not, and most probably is not. So the pasuk is telling you in our parsha, says the Nesivos Shalom, Ha'azinu hashamayim v'adabeira. And he says Shamayim refers to tshuva that's being done on mitzvahs. Shamayim, mitzvahs are something which are very, very high. And Eretz, says the Nesivos Shalom, is referring to the Averis of Eretz. The Averis to our base, mundane things. And our Gashmias selves. We say, Hazinu Hashamayim v'adabeira. Let's lift up Shamayim. Let's lift up the holy things that we have to take care of. Let's lift up how we do mitzvahs. Let's lift up our level of Shamayim, the way we do mitzvahs, how we do our mitzvahs. And then you know what? Then v'sishma ha'aretz. First, let's do tshuva on how we do mitzvahs. Let's say that from here on in, we're going to do our mitzvahs in a much better way. We're going to have kavanah. We're not going to be thinking about ourselves. We're going to have the right kavanah, so we're going to do it in the right way. We're going to be kind to people completely. We're going to think about something before we do a mitzvah. Then, v'sishma ha'aretz. And then you know what? The artzias, the tshuva that we have to do on the gashmias things that we do, and the taivas that we do, that will follow suit. That naturally follows suit. In the averis of gashmias and artzias, alone, says Nesivos Shalom, you have to know what that is. There are Averis, and then there are what we've spoken about in the past. There are things that are novel b'shus HaTorah. The way a person acts were technically things that are mutter, and how a person behaves with things that are technically mutter. And the Nesivos Shalom tells us something very, very important that we have to know now that Yom Kippur is coming up tomorrow. The things that are technically mutter, you have to be more vigilant about than averos that are blatant averos. Why? It says like this: the neshama of a yid, after a yid does an avera, the neshama of a yid keeps bugging you to do tshuva on averos. And ultimately, the Mefarshim say, ultimately and hopefully, you will listen to your neshama one day, hopefully by tomorrow, and you will listen to your neshama, and you will do tshuva, and you will regret, and you will make kabbalas, and you will act different going forward. However, with bad habits, and with midos, and things like that, your natural inclination might be to always excuse it. Because you may never actually repent on those things. Because your neshama is not telling you that you did an avera. Because technically, minat Torah, the Torah says it's mutter, and we've spoken about this many times. It's talking about the way a person talks to people, the way a person eats, the way a person sleeps, the way a person acts with certain midos. The Torah doesn't tell you whether those things are mutter or asr. So it might be harder. You have to push yourself to actually think about them and do tshuva. I just want to end with a thought that's brought down in the Yaris Dvash. The Yaris Dvash brings down that between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, there are 7 days, one of each day of the week. And each day represents all of that day that we passed during the past year. And you know what? Each Monday of Atzeres Yemei Tshuva, you can do tshuva for things that were done on Mondays, whatever it is. You didn't say Ruhu Racham, you didn't say Tachnan with Kavana, you didn't make it on time, you didn't hear Kriyas Torah Monday, Thursday, whatever it is, for Averis, for things that were done for that day. But now we're almost there, we're almost at Yom Kippur. And I had a thought, tomorrow, Erev Yom Kippur is Erev Shabbos. And Erev Shabbos, Be'etzem, is really a time of a lot of nisyonos. Erev Shabbos, there's a lot of pressure, and sometimes we're trying to help out. We do help out. You don't help out. There's a lot of pressure to be ready for Shabbos. It comes in the winter, and your children have to be ready for Shabbos. And the Yetzer Hara is especially keen at keying in on those moments when we are most susceptible, when we are most vulnerable. And tomorrow's Erev Shabbos, and it's Erev Yom Kippur, and we have an opportunity to think back of all the Erevs and all the Fridays and all the things. Did we come into Shabbos running 30 seconds before Shabbos, driving to shul, running, carrying, running out of the house? Did we come in with our stomach tied in knots because we just squeaked into Shabbos? Or are we going to be makabel on ourselves this year, 2 hours before Shabbos, start getting ready, learn a little bit, be Mavasedra before Shabbos, help out in the home, speak softly and gently to your children, and you come in with a whole different perspective, with a whole different Shabbos, a whole different idea of Shabbos. And tomorrow's Friday. Tomorrow's that day. And of course, Yom Kippur this year, the Nesivos Shalom talks about in a few different places. We have we're fortunate that we have an opportunity and the privilege that we have the schus that this year, for the second year in a row, Yom Kippur falls out on Shabbos. And we know the tremendous milas and holiness of Shabbos. And Yom Kippur together is something which we can't even fathom. The Nesivos Shalom brings down, we don't have time to get into it now, that on Averis, that normally Yom Kippur is not completely mechaper, and the person has to go through Nebuch Yisurim or other things to be actually mechaper on those Averis. This year, Yom Kippur being on Shabbos, Shabbos comes with Ava, and Tshuva me'Ava, Shabbos comes with Ava. Ahava is able to cover over Al Kol Peshoim Techase Ahava. Ahava is able to cover over Averis, and it's a tremendous chus to have it. Let's use this Erev Yom Kippur. Let's use this Yom Kippur. Want to wish everybody a Gemar Chasima Toiva, a good Geben Shiur, should be a year of Simchas and Parnasa and Nachas, and use this Yom Kippur. We should come out feeling amazing on the other side of Yom Kippur. A good Geben Shiur, Gemar Chasima Toiva to everybody, and I will take care of turning off the video myself this time.